Today, we are reviewing Project Dreamscape. Project Dreamscape is another game that is built on top of combos. At first, I thought that it was a little shallow, but as I got more into the game and started getting used to using more of the powers, well, let's talk about this in terms of an Onirim-killer. Is it? Let's see. This is the draw deck. We will have a separate discard next to it. These cards form the Dreamscape. You can buy cards from the Dreamscape according to their cost in the shield below the card. So as you can see, the farther away you get from the draw deck, the cheaper the card is, from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The way that you purchase cards is through Z cards, which are basically face-down cards that serve as the currency of this game. At the start of the game, you will receive a Z card. This starts your Deep Sleep stack. Your Deep Sleep stack will consist of further Z cards that you can use to pay for cards from the Dreamscape. At the beginning of your turn, you may opt to draw a Z card from the deck. Note that every Z card you have at the end of the game will count as negative points. 1 negative point per Z card. So in this case, let's look at the Dreamscape. I would like to select at least the number 2 card, because neither of these abilities are useful to me right now. This ability to flip a card over in the Dreamscape means that we will be able to save that card for later buys. It's just one way to save a card. Now, the goal in this game is to get as many cards in a row with a particular symbol as you can. The longer the sequence of such symbols, the more points you will score. So in this case, I would like to be able to get this number 2 card and somehow save this card, which also has that symbol, and start building up a sequence that way. So since this is the beginning of our turn, we can opt to take a Z card. So we will, and we add it to our sleep stack. And now, in order to indicate that we are paying them, we exhaust them and buy this card. We put it into a new stack, the REM stack. The REM stack are dreams that we are currently having. When you play a card to the REM stack, you will activate one of the dreams abilities, either the one on top or the one on the bottom. In this case, we are going to activate the one on top, which allows us to flip a card over in the Dreamscape. For the solo game, at the end of your turn, you remove all cards from the Dreamscape, choosing the order that they are discarded, which is important because sometimes you can affect what cards are in the discard pile. After you clear all face-up cards from the Dreamscape, turn over any leftover cards and shift them down to the cheapest positions. Untap your stuff, and then fill the rest of the Dreamscape for your next turn. The game is over immediately when you cannot fill the Dreamscape up entirely to 5 cards. Let's take our next few turns and see where we can go with this. Now, as you can see, we've got the card that we flipped over from last turn that was at the 5 cost space and is now at the 1 cost space. Easy for us to acquire. We've got another card here that we can also acquire. Note that just because you acquire a card of the same symbol doesn't mean that you have to execute that dream. You could execute the dream on the other side, which is a key to scoring well in the game. So this is the beginning of our turn. We want both of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another Z card to go to my sleep stack. The shifting dreams allows me to rearrange the Dreamscape however I desire. Unfortunately, it's not in the number 1 slot. We have the lucid dreaming. This allows us to reserve a card for later use. I will actually get this card first. So I tap a Z card, I take this card, I place it on top. Now I can reserve a card. When you reserve a card, you take it, place it sideways in your area. In the next turn, any untapped cards in this area, you can pay 1 Z card for and place it on your sleep stack. You can reserve as many cards as you like without penalty. They just go away at the end of the game if they haven't been played to the REM stack. So we're going to reserve this. We are going to pay for this. Tap our remaining 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip a card over, and I flip this one because it matches the nightmare one. So if we need to break a streak, we can start building on nightmares. The thing is that you cannot opt to buy no cards. You must buy at least 1. So we are going to clear the Dreamscape. We are going to untap all of our stuff. And now this card is available for us to essentially buy for 1 Z card. I'm going to pay 2 Z cards to get this card and use its lucid dreaming property. You'll notice that I did not take a Z card from the stack at the beginning of my turn. That's optional. And like I said, every Z card you have at the end of the game counts negative towards your points. So we decide to pick this up for lucid dreaming. We will reserve this card. We can't play this card this turn because it's tapped. And I think that's what we'll do for this turn, this round. So I'm just preemptively untapping stuff and then clearing the board of the Dreamscape and refilling. We do want this one because of the interrupted sleep symbol. But notice that we've got a recurring dream power at the top. I find the recurring dream power to be especially powerful because if you've got a stack of recurring dreams in your REM stack, you have a really wide variety of choice because the recurring dream basically plays the card beneath it. And if the card beneath it is another recurring dream, you can dig down into your REM stack even further until you find a card that doesn't have a recurring dream or that has a power that you want to activate. I will pay 2 to grab that recurring dream, and the recurring dream I'm going to have replay the lucid dreaming. And I'm going to grab this one with the nightmare, and we are going to pay our 1 to get this card played. So I'm going to play this and play this Night Terror. Now the Night Terror has a different ability in the solo game. It has you draw a card to refill the cheapest position in the Dreamscape. There's no cheapest position empty here, so nothing happens in that respect. But then you have to discard one of your Z cards. Now this can be good if you're trying to clear out Z cards so that you score less negative points, but it is a difficulty in using the Night Terrors. So I will discard this used Z card. I will pay this Z card to play this one. Only this time I'm going to use its lucid dreaming side and reserve this card. And now I'm going to tap my last Z card to grab this, play it, and have the lucid dreaming happen. As you can see, we've built up 2 long chains, and we have some little tiny chains as well, just little pairs. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. That means that scores 13 points. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards for another 13 points for 26 points. We've got a couple pairs here, so that's 2, 4, 6. So that's 32 points. We have I hope that from this you can see all the various combos that you can make, and you can make many, many more. Especially with the expansion, which adds more dream types. And each of these dream types, even if they are interactive, have solo versions of their powers, which are also pretty good. And what you do is you basically switch out one dream type for another dream type 1-to-1. And that's the game. Now, what do I think of the game? I like it a lot. I do still like Onirim, and I do still like Onirim very, very well. Onirim still is on my top 20. But I think Project Dreamscape gives Onirim a run for its money. Whereas Onirim is much more abstract and doesn't have much in the way of special powers until you start digging into some of the expansions, Project Dreamscape starts with special powers from the very beginning. The way you chain these powers together has a similar feel sometimes to Onirim, but Onirim is much more stressy. You've got these nightmares that can pop up from around the corner and really screw you over. And sometimes I'm not into that stress, and I want something more light, more fun, but at the same time with a sort of comborific feeling to it, where I can just build these chains and do all sorts of tricks to make it possible to get to 7-length, 8-length, even 9-length chains. I like that there are more special dream powers, and I like that you can use all of the dreams. They created solo powers for each of the dreams that were interactive. That's a step above and beyond what a lot of people do for their solo variants for their games, where they just kind of leave out parts of the game. Here, in Project Dreamscape, you use every card. I really do like this game. It is light, it touches on the dreaming theme in a different way from Onirim, less spooky, more fun, and I love the art. Project Dreamscape is a surprise for me. I didn't think it would end up being a keeper, but for me, it is definitely a game that I am keeping in my collection.